my god, he was so bad. God damn it. No way, man. God dang it, man. Come on. Oh, no way. Come on, baby. That's more like it. Let's go! 100 real days of playing Minecraft PvP, and it all starts with this. So the goal of this is to go from complete beginner and see just how good I can get. Trust me, when I say beginner, I mean it. I was completely new to PvP. I'm sure you can see it because this was literally my first game and I went in with zero knowledge. For this challenge, I'll be playing for around 1 hour per day for 100 days straight. Starting this challenge on the 24th of January and ending it on May the 3rd. Little did I know at the start of the challenge, the ups, the downs, the rivals and friends I would make along the way. Back to day one, I did get my first win on this day. Bro definitely felt sympathy for me and only used his fist. So can I really count that as a win? Let me know in the comments below. Either way, day one went exactly as you'd expect. By the end of the day, I finished with 9 wins and 63 losses, which is good because it's impossible for us to get any worse. You've got to believe me, these first couple of days are a little bit painful, but I wouldn't be uploading this video if the payoff isn't amazing. I'm not even joking. When I say I was completely new, I was. I didn't even know what a crit, sweep hit, or W tapping was. I was actually kirked. The good thing is, after a whopping 3 hours of PvP to my name, this is my current skill level. Look, it's day 3, and now you can start to see some improvements, because instead of missing my opponent with every swing, I was actually getting some hits in. It's like I always say, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, unless you take day 1 into consideration, in which case I definitely missed 100% of the shots I took. Although improvements were slow, this was to be expected. To ensure the legitimacy of this challenge, I'll be uploading the video to my second channel, just to prove that I did indeed spend over 100 days straight recording this video. I personally enjoy watching this content because it's nice to see where I came from. Anyway, back to day 3. I managed to rack up a new win streak of 4 wins. 4 wins in a row. First time. Come on. I remember at the time of this happening thinking I was Clown Pierce, and if you remove the word Pierce, I was kind of right. It's funny how light the challenge was at this point. Every win celebrated and every loss brushed under a rug. This 4-game win streak did, however, give me some hope for the first time in this challenge, which is a good thing, but can also be a bad thing. By the time day 4 came around, I was fresh off a big win streak and ready to carry over my form. Did that happen? No. You can see it for yourself. Let me sum up how I felt at the end of the day. A very difficult day. Like, I got 5 wins, 2 of them were forfeits. And then 3 of them came pretty much at the end. Do you remember on day 3, I spoke of hope and expectations? Let me show you a bad side of what happens when you go into a game with both of those. I'm done. I pressed the wrong button. Again. Oh! I can't win when I'm ahead. See, that's what happens every time I miss. What I didn't know this early on is that improvements wouldn't happen every day, but the noticeable improvements would happen over the likes of 5, 6, or even 7 days. The worst thing about it is the rage was only the beginning of what was to come, and honestly, I owe my desk a massive apology for everything that I put it through. But back to the video, you can see I'm starting to get some wins. Not many, but some. The main issue I was having was my lack of understanding and aim. Honestly, the aim is painful to watch. I did, however, keep my mouse sensitivity high at this point, as in the long run, I knew it would help. But yes, we were in the trenches at this time with a big 0.17 win-loss ratio. I found out some useful information going into day 6, finding out what a critical hit is. Okay, so basically the other night when I stopped recording, I was looking at why the opponents were doing so much more damage to me. Turns out I've just been doing sprint hits over and over again. To start out day 6, what we're going to do is we are going to be looking at how to do a critical hit. Secondly to this, what I found would help so early on is training in 1 game mode. So I picked the most common, being sword. We would, however, branch out into other game modes, but most commonly axe and SMP. The reason I focused so hard on sword at the start of this challenge is because I want to get the fundamentals to a decent stage. So when I go into SMP, I'm not feeling overwhelmed with all the different strategies. I genuinely think it would be impossible if someone was ranked in the top tier of all of them. During my time on day 6, I also joined another PvP server called Mox MC, where it was more of a free-for-all style of combat. After heading back to PvP land, I managed to finish with this record. Although it's hard to look at, this is a marathon and not a sprint, and just by consistently turning up every day and dedicating time to improving, I knew just by doing this we would probably be beating 75% of other players. In terms of PvP though, we were nowhere near beating 70% of our opposition. In fact, I would say we were lucky at this stage to only lose 75% of our games, as by the end of day 7 we had a record of 67 wins and 365 losses, meaning we had a win-loss ratio of 0.18, and most of our wins at this point were people just leaving or AFK. Let's go! I knew if progress continued this slowly, I'd need to look into other methods. Day 8, I felt I learned a lot and showed slow but steady improvement. At this point, I felt like I had a massive problem. That being, even if I was heavily on top in terms of hearts, I would always find a way to bottle that lead. So that was something I knew I would need to improve. On top of this, I learned some new tricks to stay cool, such as taking time after a loss to calm down. Although helpful, this didn't completely stop the anger that comes with competitive games. I need to learn how to not get comboed, get out of combos. No! No! Again, man! Ah! Sick of playing this goddamn person, man. Wake up! No! The following day, I hit an important milestone, 100 wins. Let's go, 100 wins. Let's just not look at that loss count for now, though. I played decently again today, but honestly, instead of winning 1 in every 4 games, I wanted to lose only 1 in every 4 games. I finished with a record today of 104 wins to 465 losses. So going into day 10, I decided to hire a PvP coach from Fiverr. After looking around for a while, I landed on Leonard, who was going to help me train in a couple of days and also agreed to me filming the whole interaction. But for today, I logged back into PvP land and I was plagued with a lot of similar issues to the days prior. Aim, panic swinging, and failing to win 50-50s. This is because I felt like I would panic in those moments where you're both one hit, so composure was definitely something to be desired. If we win this, we have a 5-game win streak, which is our highest ever win streak. With 1 day left till my lessons from coach, I found out my overall knowledge of PvP was getting deeper, but I couldn't really say the same for my skill level, as we were still losing the majority of the games we were playing. But finally, the day had come. It was time for my PvP coaching. After training for a little bit, Leonard recommended I tried following him with my mouse to help with aim. He also recommended other techniques such as strafing, turning on hitboxes, different hotkeys, and practicing using armor stands, which you'll see a lot more of later on. This fortunately wouldn't be the last time we see Leonard in this challenge, and after around an hour and 50 minutes of coaching, I felt like I had an idea of what I needed to work on, which is good. If any of you would like to hire Leonard, I've left a link to his services down below.
I'm on half a heart. Turn around and kill me. GG.
GG. Thanks for the training. Oh, I'm coming.
No.
No. Our lessons from coach turned out to be really helpful because I equaled our prior record from day 4 and I got 4 wins in a row. These wins were definitely not as lucky as our day 4 ones, which made me happy. I did, however, panic going into the 5th game, causing me to bottle my chance at a best ever win streak. My PvP at this point is still very basic, but even when going back to day 1, the improvement is drastic. Close. I finished today with a better win-loss of 0.26. It doesn't take much to improve, but I knew at some point I'd have to level it out. From listening to what coach had to say, what would you say is the main thing that I need to work on?
I think on the aiming, because your movement isn't actually bad.
I loaded up a super flat world where I would place a couple of armor stands and, no joke, spend over an hour hitting them for my aim. This part of the challenge I like to refer to as boot camp, as sometimes you have to put in the hard work to get the results that you want. Boot camp continued for both days 15 and 16, as we spent over an hour each day just us practicing our aim over and over and over again using armor stands. What's good about them is the hitboxes are smaller, so hitting them when moving is challenging, but it will pay off in an actual game. I would recommend doing this to improve. However, I would also say the downside to this is they can't replicate the random movements another player does. During these days, I also watch some PvP tutorials. I'll leave links below to ones that I found really helpful for this challenge. Boot camp is over and we're ready to jump back into some live games, and day 17 was going okay. My aim was improving, and about 40 minutes into the day, I played an opponent, Testificator, who beat me twice. After talking for a little while, he joined my Discord server. Link below if any of you would like to join, by the way. From here, we jumped in a call where he agreed to train me to improve my PvP. This was the start of both a friendship that would later turn into a rivalry. For now though, Test didn't have a mic, so when we were playing, he would type to me in the chat and give me general improvements that he would recommend. It's very safe to assume at this point I couldn't win a single game against him, but playing against better players is a very good thing because it'll challenge you to match their skill level. The following day, I went back to PvP land where I just grinded out another day. It was really hard to tell if we were improving at this point, as opponents on this server were random and not chosen based on ELO. With that being said, our record stood at 181 wins and 648 losses. We even managed to get a new win streak on this day. We're on our best winning streak. Let's go. I began day 19 like any other, loading up PvP land, but during one of the games, I got a call from Test. This is the first day I properly started playing other game modes, like Diamond SMP, Axe, and Crystal, all of which reminded me of day 1 Sword Me, but that's a good thing because it leaves a lot of room to improve. Of these 3 new game modes that I tried, I ended up really enjoying Axe and SMP, both of which you'll see a lot more of later on. It finally felt like I found someone who was willing to help me improve, and it's helpful as I've had a lot of questions about PvP, so instead of having to Google them or watching videos, I could simply ask. I know I was playing a lot of different game modes these last 2 days, but honestly, any type of PvP will help me at this stage, as it's the basic fundamentals I need to get a hold of, like my aim for example. The next day was a big day. That's because I hit 200 wins. I thought this was 200 wins on Sword, but it was actually 200 wins overall. That is officially 200 wins in Sword. Let's view those stats. Wait, what? Dude, I need one more win. I need one more win. What? Oh, dude, I was panicking. 200 wins, though. Let's go. Don't look at the losses. Like, we've gone from winning, like, 1 game in every, like, 5 to 1 game in every 4 to 1 game in every 3. And now I feel like we win 1, lose 1, win 1, lose 1, and it's like that. I couldn't believe that I was already 22 days into this daily challenge. Although it's safe to say I got an ego check early on today. Fudge. Try and get good, man. Oh. This guy is dog. That is the worst thing ever. Even when I was winning today, I didn't feel as happy as I once did. But that all comes down to us actually having expectations. So looking at it from a different lens, this was a good thing. I played like trash. Luckily for today, I played with a friend for a couple of hours. Bearing in mind, this friend would literally beat me every time we played before starting this challenge.
Dang it. Who are you on?
I was on 2 hearts. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Go, 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 go.
My gosh. You landed a gnarly hit. Yeah, that was it.
All right, good game. When we PvP'd, how long, what was it, like a week ago or something?
Yeah.
What would you rate my PvP skills out of 10 then?
Like 5.5.
And what would you rate them now?
Like solid 7.5, 8.
So that allowed me to go into the next day with a positive mindset. And I started by going on one of Minecraft's most famous servers, Hypixel, where I wanted to try out my skills in a different environment. So I decided to play some survival games. For those of you who don't know, I have a channel from 13 years ago that I used to upload Hunger Games videos on, and I didn't win a single game. So I wanted to avenge this, but I didn't. I just failed over and over again. I didn't really understand at this point that PvP on Hypixel uses an older version of it, so I was really like a lamb to the slaughter. Anyway, I decided to spend the remainder of the day in practice. Now that I qualified boot camp, I could finally say that I had my anger under control on this day. Oh, please, this guy is so bad. He was trash. He was trash. God Damn, dude. It's quite funny, really, because I'm sure we were still losing a lot more games than we were winning, but because our win-loss was so bad, it really didn't take that much to improve it, as we sat with a 0.33 ratio. With us officially a quarter of the way into the challenge, I'll tell you that after adding up all the time I spent playing PvP, it came to just over 120 hours. So if you enjoy this video, please subscribe. Normally, people would set a like goal for a follow-up, but I'm going to do something different. If this video gains me 2,000 subscribers, then I will come back for 200 real days of PvP. Anyway, back to the video. For our quarter milestone, we hadn't yet learnt our lesson, so played some survival games. Well, I didn't only lose the games, but I also lost some dignity. Oh, dude, come on, man. How the hell did he get me, bro? Oh, he stole my kill, man. What a clown. What a clown. We finished strong on PvP land though. Before fully giving up on our dream of winning a game of survival games, I dedicated an entire day to it, and I won. Only joking, I lost every time. But it gave me the peace of mind knowing going forward I'd actually tried. It also boosted my morale to know that it was a completely different version of PvP, so it wasn't a reflection of my day 26 skills. With our hopes for the Hunger Games win in the past, we moved forward back to what we did best, playing sword PvP. One thing I did today that was actually helpful was looking at my opponent's health so I could strategically play PvP. Although I was nowhere near reading player movements, this was more to understand what type of hit I should go for if the other player is on half a heart, so I can actually start winning some of these 50-50s. I went into the following day feeling refreshed. This quickly ended. What is going on with my aim? What is actually going on with my aim? I'm missing every shot. Oh, he was so trash, dude. He was so trash. How are they just hitting every hit, dude? From the audio on this day, it might seem like a write-off, but it's actually one of the best days we had in this entire challenge. Sure, not in the way of results, but let me explain. The first decision I made was to turn hitboxes on and leave them on. I tried turning them off for a brief time later on, but found the results far better with them active. The second thing came from this throwaway comment. I'm gonna start keeping a tally. So for day 29, I really needed to lock in and do better than the days prior. What better way of doing this than by tracking our win-loss record? This way, I'll be held accountable for my performance. Secondly, it'll give me a chance to see visible improvement. With all that being said, I ended up finishing with a 22 and 35 record. Day 30, I went 22 wins and 40 losses. This was purely down to stubbornness, as I was 21 and 30 but refused to log off until I won again. Good lesson learned though, quit while you're ahead. Plus, it's a massive improvement from day 20, as I didn't just feel like I was relying strictly on luck at this point, and had some skills, but not quite enough to pay the bills, as I was still in the negative. One thing I realized about my PvP style is I'm a very aggressive player, which can be a good thing, but can also really bite you, as I have a tendency to walk into combos. It's that final bit every time, man, every game. The next day, I went 8 and 12 in sword on PvP land, but luckily, Test, who bodied us a couple of days back, was willing to help me train in a one-on-one situation. I've been trying now for a couple of days to see if someone on the server could help me improve, but Test was the only one who was willing to take me under his wing. Because you beat me at every game. What's my worst thing about this? Am I not getting enough crits? Am I too easy to hit? Am I not moving enough? Is it my aim? Like, what would you say is the main factor that I need to improve on? Movement and aim. I finished with a record of 3 synthetic wins and 3 losses. I continued playing Test into the following day, and I left feeling pretty high about today, as we finished with a record of 4 wins and 20 losses. As you can see though, Test was using a stone sword. I also decided to get the keystrokes mod going forward. This way I could rewatch my gameplay, slow it down, and see what combos work for me and which ones end up with me in the combo. This is something I would use underutilized as the challenge went on. So I have some explaining to do. As we started 1-11 today, just look at the gameplay. I was playing very sloppy. We were well over a quarter of the way into this challenge, and I felt like I should play better, as I kept missing the easy hits and took losses against people we shouldn't have. At one point, I was 12-35. This was the point where I almost quit the entire challenge, but I took a 5-minute break and finished by clutching up, going 9 wins and 9 losses. This helped me finish with a more respectable record of 21-44. The thing that annoyed me is when I first started tracking my record, I had a better one then than I did today, but this was a blessing in disguise, as I finally now learned the lesson. I knew that improvement would be over the course of a long period of time and not just one day. With the lessons I learned from the days prior, I managed to overcome my 3rd loss of today, as normally this would have made me crash out and spiral, but I knew I had to remain calm, which I did. No way, man, he's trash. I finished with the best record to date of 13 wins and 19 losses in unranked sword. I also did play Test in a couple of friendlies, going 0-3. He was even using a wooden sword. Before finishing the day, I watched Test as he screen shared on Discord. This was helpful as he had the keystrokes mod installed, so I knew that I could take what he was doing, emulate it, and use some of the techniques going forward so I could actually combo someone. So going into the following day, I edited down the footage that I obtained the day before, put it into slow motion, and practiced some of the combos before playing any games. You can see it in my notepad where I wrote it all out. It's quite funny looking back at all of it. Once I did join some games after this, I went 3-11. I put this poor record down to trying some new techniques and actually trying to improve. For day 36, I looked at the combos we'd seen the day before and practiced them having a key indicator active. This way I could just practice pressing all the keys and getting used to it before jumping into some games straight away. But after practicing all 12 combos for 50 minutes, I decided to jump into a couple of games where I went 1-7. I knew deep down that things were going to get worse before getting better when learning new combos. The hardest thing about this entire challenge is motivating yourself to jump back on PvP less than 24 hours after you've been absolutely slapped. But being a third of the way into the challenge, I know if I needed any motivation, I'd just look at my day 1 self. After getting the much needed motivation, I just went back to the tried and trusted armor stand tactic to work on all of these combos. After doing this for around 50 minutes, I played some games where I went 21-24. At this point, I was even 5 wins ahead, but towards the end, I did lose focus of what we did in training and just started playing like we did on day 30. I ended the day with 999 losses. Let me know in the comments below, do you think I'll get to 1,000 wins or 1,000 losses first? On day 38, I played 1 game, lost it, and after, I decided to take a quick look at my stats when I saw this. Everyone online tonight is a tryhard. He was so trash. Just run into the combos. Yeah, just run into the combos. Great idea. He is so trash. Get me out of this lobby now. That's when I knew what the whole point of this video and the end goal should be. To make up for these crimes against PvP and finish with a level win-loss. It wasn't just about seeing how good I could get at PvP. It was also about redemption. So I finished day 38 with a record of 21-30. Day 39, I still remember it like it was, well, today, as I genuinely didn't think I would continue with this challenge, and I clearly wasn't feeling 100%. If you ask why, well, just look at my desk. God damn it, get out of the combo, man. Every day, man, I'm sick of it. How was I on 1 heart? I don't care, I'm done. GG. I ended up splitting the day into 2 parts, and luckily when I came back later on, sort of revived the win-loss a little. So I finished 30-48. The more PvP the better, as right now my fundamentals still need a lot of work. I started out day 40 by going 6-23 like a real winner, but I recovered to finish with a record of 20 wins and 30 losses. Honestly, if I could just keep my head together, because as soon as I lose a game, the floodgates open. Every single time. Take a second, don't get mad. I don't know how to get out of the combo. Just walking into it. Oh my god. Come on. Unbelievable. God damn, this motherfucker hits every shot. If I was to disregard all the games at the beginning, I would have gone 14-7. I did start to use some basic combos, as you can see on your screen, so there was improvement which allowed us to move on to day 41, where I implemented a new rule, where if I was to lose, I would simply take a 30-second break. So that way, I didn't go into the next game like a raging bull. This helped me finish with my best win-loss ratio so far, going 28-30. At this point, we were actually getting really close to a positive record, which is something that seems surreal only 10 days ago. Little did I know on this day just how rapidly and how much we would improve by the end of this challenge. The following day, I regressed and went 22-30, but I learned my lesson back from day 33 when I realized progress isn't daily, but it's over the course of a few days. I wasn't exactly fist pumping in the air with my performance today, but this is what the weight of expectations feels like. Just ask my desk. Anyway, I continued into day 43 and even managed to go 5-2 to start out, but lagged in one of the games that I should have won and had a massive crash out. After all of this, I finished 11-20. Later on that day, I got challenged by Snake to a 1v1 after he crashed my friend Chad. So I destroyed him at PvP, and then I destroyed his entire server. It's a long story, and if you want to hear the whole thing, I've made a video about it on my channel. With a fresh mind, I went into the following day feeling motivated, and I'm glad, because for the first time, I can finally say we started going in the right direction, and finished with 38 wins and 22 losses. Although the record was our best today, it would definitely mean that I would now want to go positive every day, and anything below that to me would be a complete failure. With that being said, I finished the next day 32-31, which is fine, but I still wasn't as happy as I was the day before. Luckily for me though, Test was online, so I watched him play a couple of games. That way I could watch what keys he was pressing and emulate his movement in an actual game. So on day 46, I spent it revising Test's movements, as I wanted to feel above average in sword and stop eating combos before moving on to different PvP types later on, such as Axe, SMP, and some pot. After reviewing the footage, I did play some games with Test, going 5-17. He was using a wooden sword, but 5 wins against a player who I would consider a much better player is a victory for me. I don't know if you can tell, but the deeper I get into this challenge, the less I joke around, as I was taking it seriously and was dedicated to getting as good as I possibly could for this video. I did end up playing PvP a little later in the day, thinking it would be better. Spoiler, it wasn't. I went 30-39 and was very triggered. Threw it away. I noticed that this time I was just playing the same players over and over again, which definitely didn't help my anger levels. Same people. Just playing the same people who I'm losing to over and over again. Like, this guy's a tryhard. I knew with only 2 days left until the halfway point, I wanted to get at least a 0.50 win-loss ratio, and even started the day out well. Come on! But unfortunately, I didn't know when to call it quits. Really? This made me finish with a negative record for the second day in a row. I finished 41-50, and I literally stayed on so much longer to try and finish level, but some days it just won't happen no matter how hard you try. No! No, 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 no! Wake up, Jacob. No way did I just lose to that f***ing loser, man. No! Why have I played again tonight? I don't know why I played again. It's just been a terrible idea. I decided on day 49 to take one last look at my ratio before the halfway point, and it was fitting because it was 0.49 matching the day. However, just as I was getting in the groove going 20-11, the server crashed, and as a result, I played the rest of the evening on the Starfrost server, where I played okay. The difference between PvP land and Starfrost is on this server, the sword games are best of 3. Here we are at the halfway point. I thought it was important to evaluate how far I'd come, so I watched some footage from my day 1 gameplay. This allowed me to see how far I'd come. Oh, this is painful to watch. Oh no. And for the actual PvP on day 50, let's just say we had a very good day. Day 51, I spent some time playing sword, but it didn't go too well, and I went 37 and 30. Let's just see if you can tell it didn't go too well. Oh my god, this guy was the worst player I've ever played. Rematch me, you're so bad. Why am I like this? Imagine getting this record like 15 days ago. It would have been a very different reaction. Anyway, after this, we tried our first new game mode, that being Axe PvP. I ended up going 3 and 3, but I wanted to get used to it, as jumping straight into SMP may be jumping in the deep end, and wanted to work my way up to it by starting with Axe. I decided to do my PvP early in the day today and went 50 and 32 with sword. And once I was warmed up, I went 7 and 1 in Axe. I think Axe might just be our game mode with a current win-loss of 2.75, so far away from our sword record. Day 53 was a mixed bag, and this is what I had to say at the end of it. So on sword, I did awfully. I did like 20 and 26. Oh no! On Axe, I literally started 4 and 12, and I finished 33 and 16. Does it even show? Yeah, peak win streak 16. I was going nuts then. Oh my goodness. Oh, come on. I wanted to make up for the losses we had the other day. So in sword, I went 26 and 20, leaving with a win-loss on sword at 0.59. However, in Axe, I had the best day today. I went 26 wins and 5 losses, meaning as things stood on day 54, we had a win-loss of 2.80. At this point, it's safe to say that my ego was in the stratosphere. Come on, baby, let's go. That's 20 wins to 4 losses. I'm crazy on Axe. Unfortunately, to begin day 55, I forgot to press record. This is fortunate because I started out 15 and 23. Once I pressed record, I locked in and I finished 45 and 32. At this stage, I simply refused to finish with a negative ratio, unless you count Axe. So I was playing angry and I finished negative, going 9 and 20. My ego was definitely now back on Earth, and I can confirm that I no longer think I'm the best Axe player in the world. A good way to tell if you're getting better is by having much higher expectations than you did 10 days ago. For example, by the end of the 100 days, I want to be in single-digit losses with at least 30 wins. Today I went 45 and 24, but wasn't happy one bit as I felt I just didn't play good enough for how far into the challenge we actually are. I went 7 and 9 on Axe, but again, I wasn't too bothered at the moment as the goal is getting used to switching using the number keys. I started day 57 by practicing some new combos on some armor stands. From here, I did play some Axe where I went 1 and 3, so I stopped, which my desk very much thanked me for. On sword, I went 40 and 20. I actually managed to use some new techniques, and look, I don't actually think I did too bad, but mostly I stuck to what I was best at. This is what I was finding difficult, as I wanted to use some new techniques, but doing this would cause more losses. Now, I was ill on day 58 and started amazingly. But luckily, I finished strong. Revenge! The issue I was having today is that nobody was playing Axe, and I wanted to start playing SMP in a couple of days, but lacked the practice in using the hotbar. If I was ill on day 30 and jumped into sword, I could have only dreamt of what I got for today's record, so I have to be grateful for the improvements that I am making. On day 59, I officially hit level 100 on the PvP LAN server. Big moments. I got back on track this day. Although I'm looking at moving into SMP, I think if I play enough sword, I can still turn this record around and finish even by day 100. From here, I got some practice in with Test. I know I'm improving because he can only beat me with a stone sword now. I have come a long way from getting beat with those wooden swords. Anyway, I actually finished positive against Test, going 6 and 3. You're done. You're done. You're done. Nothing can save you now. Yes! For day 60, sword PvP went well, but I still wanted more. I also played some ranked sword, which didn't go too well, but the opponents were much more challenging. Most importantly, we played our first game of SMP today, which we won. Not only that, after winning, Test jumped on and we played some SMP versus Test where I beat him 2 games to 1. After this, I had him rank my SMP skills where he gave us 90 out of 100. Playing Axe was definitely paying off, so it allowed me to get used to switching from using the mouse scroller to actual numbers. Although I do sometimes still use the scroller as it's a habit, and I'm yet to master switching from numbers 6 to 9.
Nice.
When waking up the following day, I decided that I wanted to focus on both Ranked Sword and SMP. I still really want to even out our record by day 100, so I used Unranked Sword to warm up. However, I never did really warm up this day for some reason, struggling to gain consecutive wins or any kind of momentum. The only positive is that I did go 2-1 in SMP. The issue is when I panic during the actual fighting, it's natural for me to use the scroll bar, but I am happy with the 2-1 record. I had a lot of caffeine before today, but it still didn't help. The positive I took away from today is I finished strong. We also achieved our highest rank in sword, getting all the way to gold, even if this was just playing the same person for like 5 games in a row. The last couple of days hadn't been what I hoped for, so for day 62 I kept playing Test and actually felt better after playing him, going 26 and 22, bearing in mind he was using much weaker equipment, but I know I'm now getting better as he has to use a diamond sword without certain armor. This allowed me to go into the next day ready to get back on track. This sort of carried over, going 35 and 20 in sword. I could have done better, but I'm trying to do strafing more because in the long run it'll help me improve and avoid constant combos. As of day 64, I have a 0.71 win-loss, so I'm still ahead by 8 days. I need to gain 0.1 per day, but it'll get harder the more we try and level it out, as right now anything in positive is improving it because it's actually so bad. On SMP, I went 2 and 4. Same issues as before with the scroller, but nothing that a lot of practice can't fix. The main thing that was nerfing my overall game is the fact that my aim was still probably at 60 or 70% accuracy. So for this day, I decided to warm up on sword. After sword, I went back to playing Test, where I incorporated the crouch hit to help start combos. For this, Test did go back to using a wooden sword as I was trying new techniques, but I managed to get some combos in, going 19 and 11. Started day 66, 1 and 6. That rhymed, but I finished 43 and 20. Honestly, I felt like I was downplaying some of my opponents as well. That was up until I played SMP, which actually improves your aim so much when you're trying to hit someone with speed. I leveled out on SMP going 1 and 1, but these 2 games literally took me 20 minutes. Oh, and by the way, I'm not even going to mention how I got on in Ranked Sword today. God damn. For day 67, I wanted to do something special, so I went 1 and 4 on Ranked Sword, but I felt like I played 11 out of 10 on Unranked because I literally finished 11 wins and 10 losses. Skirt! But I did manage to bring our record back to 1.0 on the Starfrost server after a couple of games, and I finally got around to playing Minecraft's most popular PvP server, PvP Club. Let me just explain how this works. So basically, a sword game on this server is best of 3, meaning you can either beat your opponent 2-0 or 2-1, and that's the exact same for losing someone. Going forward, when I say I went 10 and 5 for example, I'm counting the best of 3 as one single game. Anyway, with that being said, I won my first matchup, but after this, reality truly hit. But it's safe to say I'll definitely be playing a lot more of this server going forward. I continued using PvP Club for the moment as it has skill-based matchmaking. I played a total of 11 best of 3s, finishing with a record of 6 and 5. I like how the arena is a lot smaller so people can't really run away from you. I did go back on PvP land later on, however it was really a mixed bag, because on the one hand my record was absolutely awful, but on the other hand I refused to stop playing until I went positive, finishing 28 and 27. I remember on day 30 saying I won't log off until I win again, then losing like 15 straight. So even though I was having mini crash outs, I refused to stop playing. Oh my god! Oh, no. Please. Oh! My head's gone. Oi, oi, look what day it is. Jokes aside, I warmed up on club, which I was enjoying more and more because it was fully skill-based matchmaking, and each opponent you play is going to be at your level. Blood Emperor, stupid ass name. After this, I played some Sword on PvP land. The plan was to win a couple of games to help the win-loss, but I don't know why, it feels like the opponents have been really good the last couple of days, because matchmaking on this server is completely random. Even rewatching the footage, my aim is better than 5 or 10 days ago, but I struggled to get a foothold today. Oh no! I've lost to that guy. Are you kidding me? From here, I went back onto club for some SMP. Although I finished 2 and 4, the goal is just to improve, and I'm still getting used to switching weapons along with hitting people with speed, but this massively helps with accuracy at normal speed as well. I will say, the best thing about playing Sword for so long is it helps develop the most important fundamentals which can be used for all different types of PvP. Now that we're on the final 30 days, I wanted to start taking SMP more seriously, but I got humbled today with a record of 4 wins to 50. No! Oh my god! He was bad! Wrong button again! How? Oh my god. Come on! No! In all this chaos, I even broke a pair of headphones. Hi, have we got any super glue? Have we got glue? Super glue. Right, okay. But looking on the positive side, there's still a lot of time to improve. The main issue we're having is when on top of a game, I failed to counter, as I'm still not using the keys to switch items. For the majority of today, I simply refused to use the mouse scroller. I did better on Sword, going 4 wins to 3 losses. Really feel like I'm getting the swing of Sword. Pun absolutely intended. With that being said, I started the following day by going 0 and 2, but I already had a plan. Instead of getting angry and breaking another pair of headphones, I'd simply stop and go back to playing test a couple of times, going 7 and 5 in the friendlies. It felt weird going back on PvP land as I hadn't been on there for a couple of days and I still wanted to level out my win-loss record. After those games, I went back on club where I finished a day with a grand total of 12 wins and 12 losses. Before the end of the day, I played 1 game of SMP and won. I immediately stopped playing here as I wanted to end it on a high, especially after the previous day. This allowed me to go into the next day with the hope that I'll do better in SMP. Let's go! Luckily, to start day 72, we had a care package arrive. From here, we jumped on club, going 4 and 4 on Sword. Again, I feel like I'm playing well, but progress is stalling a little, so it's micro improvements that are being made. From here, I went 2 and 2 on SMP. I found this funny because I felt like I lost to someone who I was far better than, but then beat someone who was way better than myself. But in SMP, you need to manage when to be aggressive and when to be defensive. With that being said, I was really happy because I could switch between keys 1 and 5 with ease by practicing in the lobby. After playing some SMP, I wanted to try some less try-hard games, so I jumped on PvP land, but got absolutely ruined. I knew I had to pause as I was just getting really angry at this point. Oh. I've lost to this rookie. I've actually lost to this guy. I've just completely given up. So I jumped back online later, redeeming myself a little, but we still weren't level on the day. So in an act of either pure determination or stubbornness, I came back for a 3rd and final time, where we finally managed to level out, going 42 and 42. Yes! It's done. Oh my god, that took ages. Finally! Felt like the players online today were really good, although it was a bank holiday. We finished with an overall 0.76 win-loss record. However, little did I know, but as we logged out of PvP land on day 72, it would be the very last time I play competitively on this server during this 100 days challenge. All the highs. Let's go, our first official win. Hopefully that's going to be one of many. Come on. I mean, we're doing pretty decently. And all the lows. Oh, off did he kill me? No. Yeah? Alright, moving on, I started 0 and 2, but luckily I scraped the win in the 3rd game. But today wasn't looking good as I bottled the 4th game because the guy called me a cheater after game 1. This got in my head, causing me to lose the next 2 games to him, even though I felt like I was the better player. This happened a lot as I let comments get in my head. Either way, I made up for it and finished 5 and 5. Let's go. After this, I turned my attention to SMP, where I went 2 and 4, but I was actually happy, because you can see from the clips, I was switching between items more fluently. I knew I'd need to get a little worse before getting better, just like I did with sword. In high stress situations though, I did panic, and I am still using the scroller, but for the most part, I am using keys. In the evening, I also played some friendlies versus Test, and I learned some new things. I know I'm getting better overall, as Test has even started using a diamond sword against me. With this challenge almost 3/4 of the way through, I wanted to focus more on SMP than sword, but find it hard improving in competitive matches as I'm strictly going for wins and not trying new things. So for day 74, I spent the day playing friendlies versus Test, where I went 3 and 7 in SMP. Again, I was happy with my performance. As you can see from the gameplay, I'm getting better at changing my weapons and chasing down my opponents with pearls. Most importantly, I'm improving my panic changing, as it's starting to become more muscle memory to use for keys. We also played some axe today, where I went 5 and 5. Again, I'm playing while switching weapons with efficiency. I think of axe as a gateway into SMP, as you don't have to manage as many items at once. Oh, let's go! Finally, we played some sword, going 11 and 13. Oh, good game, good game. Just like that, we're on the last 25 days of this challenge, and honestly, this has been one of my favorite ever videos to record. I feel like I'm improving almost every day, even if that means getting a little worse before getting any better. As we're on day 75, going forward, I wanted to split my time 60-40, meaning 60% of it will go on SMP, and the other 40% I'll spend playing sword. And I had a really good day today, going 7 and 3 in sword, which is the first time I've gone positive on club in ages, which gave me a lot of motivation. After this, we went 3 and 1 on SMP, but my pursuit is getting a lot better, as you can see from the footage. Still a long way to go, but I have numbers 1 to 5 unlocked. After this, Tess gave me a call, and we ended up playing some SMP, where I went 5 and 8 versus him, but I did panic scroll a couple of times, and I didn't have hearts on, whereas he did. So going forward, I'll make sure to have hearts on, as I passed on many opportunities to pursue, but didn't know he was on half a heart. Overall, I was really happy with today, and felt a lot of progress is still being made. Anyway, moving on to the following day, I was in a really weird mood, because I was eating chocolate at the time, and I'll let the footage play for itself. Chocolate time. 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 GG. Chocolate time. Chocolate time. Chocolate time. Chocolate time. Give that to me, boy, because it's chocolate time. Still chocolate time. Chocolate time. Chocolate time is never ending. Oh my goodness. 8-0. Chocolate time was meant to end after I lose. Chocolate time is ongoing. Chocolate time is over. Oh my god. Sword went really well for us today, going 10 and 3, because my opponents clearly knew what time it was. But seriously, my aim was getting to the next level, and the two main things I needed to focus on were movement and spacing. After sword, I went 8 and 4 on SMP, where again I played pretty decent, but I was crashing out from all the chocolate time earlier. Of all the SMP games I played today, the final one was my favorite, where I just hit a load of axe crits, but my movement was pretty decent as well. Overall, another really positive day. Nice. But the higher you climb, the harder you fall. Wow, did I get off to a bad start today. But the crazy thing is, it didn't even bother me. Oh my god. This guy, man. Oh, he's not good. He's not good. No way, dude. One of those days, bro. I'm walking into him today, bro. I have a fetish for getting combo today, bro. This little weasel, man. I did end up locking in and finishing with an 8 and 7 record on sword after a good renaissance. SMP I also struggled today, going 3 and 5. All of these games took me an hour to play, but I didn't want to end things on a bad note, so I played with Test and it helped remind me of what this challenge is all about, having fun. Also, if you notice from the footage, Test is now not nerfed in any way when we play. We also had some games of SMP where I went 1 and 3 and went into the next day knowing I had what it takes to progress to the next level of PvP. When logging in on day 78, I was ready to lock in, so I went 10 and 8 with sword. I'm lucky I didn't do any worse because I was on the verge of a top level crash out. Oh, it's so boring. Oh my god, why is every message being blocked by the filter? Damn it. Right, just lock in. Why am I messing around? Why am I playing down to competition? I lost to him. I'm shaking like crazy. Once I calmed down, I played a lot better on SMP, going 8 and 5. I felt as if I was almost panicking when playing, which is never good. So I feel like when you do it, can cause inaccuracy in aim, amongst other things, like broken headphones or broken tables. One thing about PvP Club is the opponents are a lot harder than the other servers, such as PvP Land, which is a good thing, because the best way to improve is to play with the best. I did go positive on sword, and I feel like my aim is really getting there, but my movement still has a lot of room to improve. I think I'm still too easy to hit. On SMP, however, I went 8 and 10. I started out great going 7 and 3, but I wanted to go 8 and 3 and flex, but nope, I got destroyed today. Onwards and upwards, we're going to finish this 100 days really strong. The following day, I wanted to give a live reaction to my day, so this is me immediately after finishing day 80. Today has been amazing. Feels like I really got back in the swing of things after a mediocre day 79. We mixed it up today, starting with SMP and going strong with a record of 10 and 3. Don't get me wrong, my Pearl game still isn't ideal at all, and I use Axe far too much, and I need to get better at switching to my sword and following out with crits, but I got slightly better as we came to a finish, and the good thing is I know where I need to improve going forward till the end of this challenge. From here, I went on sword and finished with a best ever record of 10 and 2. My aim is starting to really feel on point now. I'm getting so much better at following up on combos as well. So what I do is I normally crouch, hit, and then just follow up by W tapping, and it works every time. Could we follow up from the day before, which is something I was wondering, and the answer is kind of. Okay. By that, I mean we went with the tried and trusted formula from the other day, where we start on SMP, and for a while, I was looking like we could actually surpass the record from the day before, going 7 and 1. But I had a massive losing streak, finishing 7 and 5. The main 2 improvements I need is better ender pearl placement and switching to my sword before disabling the shield, because I constantly go for axe crits, which I'm sure you can see from all my SMP gameplay so far. Oh! From here, we tried our first games of Pop PvP, where after a rocky start at 0 and 2, I brought it back and finished 4 and 2. Feel like my sword gameplay is really paying off, because it felt like I was beating people who are way more experienced in this type of PvP. Speaking of sword, we limped through the finish line today with a record of 8 and 6. I'm really enjoying playing club, and although we played well, I felt like our opponents played better. A new day and 2 new game modes. Instead of playing SMP, we started with some Netherite OP, which I thought was going to be similar to SMP, but oh how wrong I was. It's similar to Pop PvP, but even faster paced. Really good as a sword warm-up, as hitting a target that's really fast helps with your aim. When playing, I felt like I was doing okay, but my inventory management left a lot to be desired. I ended up finishing going 8 and 10. This is definitely a game mode that I will be returning to. We also today played our first UHC games. I did lose 3 times and win twice, but one of those wins I don't really count, as I didn't really play the game mode the way it's meant to be played, as I'm sure you can see. Again though, a really enjoyable time playing. Finally, I finished with something similar, that being Axe PvP, going 2 and 1, but definitely better at this game mode, as I'm finding it way easier to switch using keys thanks to all my time playing SMP. Today marked only one of 2 days in this entire 100 without playing a single game of sword. Welcome to the the cringiest line of dialogue from this entire 100 days. And no one's stabbing me. Shivers every time. Moving on, I played the classic combo of SMP and then sword. My pull placement is finally starting to get better though. I finished with a record of 6-3, but I was really happy because I felt actual improvement. The main things I had to work on was panic switching items in my inventory and using my sword, as just using the axe 24/7 can be very predictable after a while. When playing sword, I had a pretty weird day today, going 10-7. I played okay, just not good enough for my standards for day 83, so I knew going into the 84th what I had to focus on. Loading up for today, you best believe we went straight into sword, no warm-up needed, as I wasn't happy with how I played and the lack of games I managed to get through the other day, so I decided just to play sword today because I needed the repetition. However, in my first game, the guy kept calling me a crit spammer, which I'm not gonna lie, it really got in my head a little bit. I tried not to let it affect me going forward and started by going 7-1 in sword, and I was honestly sailing through opponents, but that's when it happened. I played someone who was a low tier 4, and I only just figured out what the tiers were. For those of you who don't know, there are 5 tiers, with those being 1 to 5 with sub tiers within them. So high tier 1, low tier 1, going all the way down to low tier 5. Anyway, back to the video. I thought this would be an easy win, but I was in my head way too much and I lost. Don't get me wrong, I definitely didn't deserve the win because I played like absolute trash, but I still expect to beat people at that rank. This honestly shook me so bad. I thought I was past the whole getting mad and letting things get in my head, but oh how I was wrong. Run, man. From 7-1, we finished 9-9, but I knew I had to stop playing due to how salty I was. So I jumped in some Netherite OP where I went 3-8. I honestly have no excuses today. Doing this challenge every day of my life for the past 80 days has been really hard. One of the most difficult things is going into the day positive after a rough previous day. My bad streak continued into this day where I started 1-5 on sword. First, I wasn't playing enough sword, and secondly, my aim was just all over the place. Honestly though, after a rough start, I had to take a pause because I was mad. Oh, no way! Again! After this, though, I did finish with a sword record of 9-9. From here, I went 2-1 on SMP. I'm just trying to rediscover my roots and increase my morale, as it's taken a massive hit recently. One thing I know I really need to improve upon is my distance management. So going into the following day, I downloaded the crosshairs mod to allow me to see when my opponent was in reach. Going into day 86, I was still very mad, but the good thing is I don't actually think you can tell. Stop looking at the fucking crosshairs, man. I'm so unbelievably done. I'm so done. I did play a couple of tiered opponents today and I noticed something. I'm very much a morale player because when I was mad, I lost to a low tier 5. But once I cooled down just a little, I managed to beat a high tier 5. I finished sword going 10-7 on the day. It started rough, but I was happy because I could go into the following day with a bit of a winning streak. I have, however, noticed that if you have a really good day in any game mode, then your opponents tend to be a lot better the following day. I played a couple of games of Axe where I went 2-2. I lost the first 2 games, but it does take me some time to readjust to the game modes. I went 1-1 on SMP, but tomorrow I know I need to start getting back into it and play more of this, as I'm finally getting quite decent at it. To finish up, I played some Netherite OP going 2-1. I think this is the first time I've ever gone positive in this game mode as well. Only 13 days left. Can you believe it? For today, I started by playing some sword, going 6-6, but feel like I played better because I was watching videos from pro PvP players and they all said to be patient. Although I lost this game I'm showing you, it's a good demonstration of me not just charging straight in. After these games of sword, I played Test, where I pretty much leveled out with him on all game modes that we played. I remember back when we first started talking and I used to get the wooden sword treatment, whereas now we're on level playing field. I went 2-2 on sword. Axe I did really well as well, winning both best of 3 threes, going 2-0 and winning the one game of SMP that we did play. This is a far cry from our previous days. There was no rage and I was actually happy with our performance. We finished by playing Netherite OP, where I did lose on here, going 3-6. To start day 88 and for the final time in this challenge, we started by playing Test in a first to 10 winner takes all sword match. Let's go! When all was said and done, I managed to beat Test 10 rounds to 3. This got me thinking all the way back to day 17 when I first started playing with him and got bodied over and over again. It just shows how far I've come in these last 61 days. This gave me a lot of hope that even if I lose some games on club, ultimately they're all helping me get towards my end goal. As much as I enjoy PvP with friends, I ultimately need to play with randoms, as everyone has a different playstyle and it's important to see how I can adapt to those playstyles. As we move later into this challenge, it's less about aim and movement and more about how well you can read your opponents, because one bad move at this level could result in you getting comboed and losing the game. I did again play a high tier 5 and won, which is really good, but I was happy today having a record of 17-7 whilst working on my patience and ability to read the action of other players. I remember day 90 as it was a surreal feeling, realizing that there were only 10 days left of this challenge. Today really summed up my resilience, as the plan was to warm up with sword before going into SMP, but things didn't quite go to plan, and by that I mean we started 1-7 on sword. I definitely lost a couple of those because my head went a little, but through pure determination, I clawed back to a record of 9-9. During game 17, I played someone who taught me how to jump reset. I'd heard of jump resetting, but never actually tried it up until this point, as other basic areas of my PvP were still below par. I accidentally played one game of Netherite OP, but I finished with a record of 1-0 where I played okay. And then, to finish off, we jumped into some SMP, again starting poor at 1-3, before locking in and getting 2 games on the bounce. With us being in the final 10 days of this challenge, I wanted to try making this one special, so I present to you the return of Coach Leonard. Hey Coach.
Hello.
For Leonard's return, we decided to do a best of 3 in the following game modes: Sword, Axe, Netherite OP, Pot and SMP. We started with Sword and this is how it all went. Oh, wow. GG.
GG.
Oh my god, it all comes down to a final game. GG. Whew. Do you have any closing statements before you go for the fish? I mean, I hope this isn't the last time we speak, by the way, Leonard.
My final statement would be that you can always be better by training. You're the best example. 91 days of PvP and you destroyed me.
As mentioned before, if any of you would like to hire Leonard, please click the link in the description. Before the end of the day, I played some casual games, going 3-3 in sword. I'm at a stage now where I'm starting to play high tier 4s, which is good. Even though I lost to this one, I still felt like I played okay. And after this, I went on a 3-game winning streak. After mostly playing sword the last couple of days, I decided I wanted to play SMP only for today, as I didn't want to let my skills in this game mode deteriorate. What I find funny about SMP is it's not always the best player who wins. For example, in this game you're watching, which was my 3rd game, the opponent, in my opinion, is a lot better than myself, but I got the win because he was pushing hard and failed to heal up. However, in the literal next game, it was the other way around, where I felt I was fully in control, so I decided to push, which is never a good idea in SMP SMP, as you need to learn balance and most importantly, when to heal up. I do feel like I'm improving. At the end of the day, I finished 13 and 12. Although the record doesn't show it, I really feel like I improved today due to the changes I was making. Following this, I tried to finally get tier tested, but unfortunately, I couldn't verify my account at this time. After joining club, I made sure to jump into sword going 5 and 3. Definitely felt like some of the opponents I'm playing are a lot better than before, so just going positive is a win in itself. The thing I love about sword is that if you win, they call you a crit spammer. But if you don't crit spam, all you do is leaving yourself open to being the one getting crit spammed. It's honestly great. On SMP, we went one better going 6 and 3, and I'm generally happy with how we've been playing recently, as I don't just rely on my shield and axe. I still think sword is my best game mode, but my SMP is improving at a faster rate. Oh, I should have finished eating my apple, man. With less than a week to go, I started day 94 by finally getting my account verified. But unfortunately, the testing was down and it would remain down for the remainder of this challenge. I wonder why that could be. Anyway, I got back to practicing my sword, so I opened up the day by losing to a low tier 4. I definitely wasn't too happy about this, but luckily I had a chance to extract my revenge against another low tier 4 later on, which I executed by winning both games in the best of 3. At one point, I was 6 wins and 7 losses, but I figured out that by the time this video gets uploaded, that'll no longer be funny, so I went into another game to finish with a sword record on the day of 7 and 7. Although I wasn't playing great at sword, the same couldn't be said for my SMP, as I felt like everything was clicking. This was justified, as in my opening 2 games, they were both on the longer side, and I finally got the better of both opponents, whereas even a couple of days ago, I was losing those close duels. I really had good balance between aggression and patience, as you can see from game 5, where I used aggression to dominate my opponent before critting them out, and on the opposite end in game 7, where I felt like my opponent was better, so I used patience to win the game, as I allowed him to attack while I played it safe. I finished SMP with a record of 7 wins and 0 losses today. Moving on to the following day, I wanted to start with sword, but what I was finding difficult is I kept going loss win, loss win, loss win. A couple of minor tweaks and today could have gone very differently. Like in game 4 where my opponent beat me 2 games to 1, but both of his wins came down to one single heart. This was down to poor distance management on my behalf. My 15th opponent was clearly a lot better than me, as you can see from the opening game here. It just wasn't even competitive, but thankfully he taught me some tricks to go forward, being to hold W and then immediately switch to W and D. This is definitely something I know I'll need to incorporate more into my PvP. I'm always grateful to the opponents who, instead of saying easy, actually take the time to tell you what you could have done better. I finished sword 10 and 9. After sword, I wanted to work on one of my weakest PvP categories, which is pot. I went 3 and 5, but one of my wins was because the other player left and another the guy lagged out, so I can only really count one of them as legitimate wins. This was the one game mode that coach beat me on a couple of days back. It's really starting to feel like the final countdown, which is why going negative in any game mode at this point simply cannot happen. Sword was weird today. I kept going 2 wins, 2 losses on repeat, but the cycle was broken in game 6. I had a bad vibe about this game, so I think this got in my head a little, although I bounced back from my next opponent, hitting him with the classic W tap. I've even got the best compliment I've had when he said how to get perfect reach, so I was really happy with that, as my distance management has never been my strongest part of PvP. However, I was getting a little worried, as it wasn't until my 15th opponent until I got called a crit spammer for the first time. Either way, I went on to win convincingly against my next opponent and finished with a sword record of 10 and 8. SMP again went well. Not great, just well today. Our first game was amazing, as I continued our form from yesterday and got out to a flying start. After this, going 6 and 1, but I again got complacent. Felt like I was trying to cruise through the remaining games, and it really shows my final record. After all of this, I decided to play my first couple of games on a new server, Flow PvP. The opponents on this server were actually really good. I started out with a record that would resemble that of when we first started playing PvP land. I even ended up going on a 6-game win streak to help me finish with a record of 14 and 14. Instead of warming up on club today, I decided to jump back into Flow PvP, as I was disappointed in how I did the previous day. For a warm-up, I went 21 and 18. I asked AI if it was skill-based matchmaking, but apparently it's not, so yeah, it's just really, really good players. Goodness knows what my record would have been if I started day 1 on this server. With that being said, the warm-up worked. Well, sort of. When joining club, I got a sword record of 6-2 and thought I played decently overall. It's important to finish positive on club so you can keep improving and play opponents with better ELO. My SMP streak didn't, however, follow through from my previous day, and it's safe to say I got absolutely humbled. After a 0-6 start, I clawed my way back to get 3 wins, but my pride and anger got the better of me today. Oh, no way. No way, dude. Holy dude. I lost a further 3 with a record of 3-9. My fall from grace continued. I went 13-13 on sword PvP, but could never quite make out if I preferred playing with my mouse sensitivity at 80 or 90. In the end, I left it with 80. Let me know down below what you have your sensitivity on. This whole day, I was chasing out an even record, and the best thing about it is I wasn't even bothered. Just missing every hit, man. But seriously, you can see just how aggressive I was playing against some of these opponents. I did go 4-2 on SMP, again with an aggressive playstyle. Still felt like I could have gone 5-1, but the pursuit got the better of me in one of the games. No way, man. To cool down, I finished with some flow PvP. I really do enjoy this server and just how fast you can get into games. I went 15-8 on flow, my best record to date. Day 99, I can't believe it. Today got me thinking back to all the times I almost gave up on this challenge. But this video has honestly been the best thing that could have happened to me. Because of this video, I've made friends, rivals, and rivals who have become friends. Wait, I'm not playing, I promise. I'm not playing. No. On top of all of this, I've improved my PvP skill drastically. To get the best results possible, I warmed up for 45 minutes on flow PvP, going 40-34. Playing all these games at the start of the day helped me when joining club, as I played sword going 5-1. But honestly, these games weren't even super close. One thing I find is the less pressure I put on myself, the better the PvP goes. I did the classic combo today with sword and after some SMP. Game 1 was pure domination, as I felt like I kept pushing but with caution. These games were definitely the best I've been on SMP today. The final game was more of a slugfest, where eventually I squeezed out the victory to finish the day 3-1. With that being our final game of SMP, it's time to move on to... It's day 100 and I have been lying to all of you, because since day 38 I had one goal for this challenge: to finish these 100 days with a 1.0 win-loss record on PvP land. So every single night I've been secretly logging onto this server, and this is what happened. Now we have a 0.99 win-loss, but I'm not stopping until I get either 2,000 wins or 2,000 losses. Let's finish this. It's done. 2,000 wins. Something I genuinely never thought I would say. Thank you to every single person who has clicked, anyone who commented, liked, or even subscribed. It means more than you'll ever know. Thanks for watching.